What's up, YouTube? It's Austin here, and I kind of just wanted to rant on the Houston Rockets because they're my favorite team. Uh, they've been my favorite team since like 2016, and right now I feel like they're in the worst position in basketball. And I feel that because the Rockets are always one step away. In 2017, 2018, if Chris Paul doesn't go down with that injury, we're arguably in the championship. And we get there, but do we beat LeBron? I don't think so. I even think LeBron should have won the MVP that season because he just played better than James Harden did. And last year, we should have won that series because we had a chance to win when KD went down with that injury. KD goes down with that injury, he doesn't play the rest of the series. We lose in game six. How did we lose if the whole conversation was because they had KD, they were too overpowered, then we lose in 6 games. We didn't even lose in 7. We lost in 6. We let Steph Curry go scoreless in the first half, then it dropped 30 something in the second half. That doesn't make sense to me. To me, I feel with the Rockets, they're always one step away. Mike D'Antoni doesn't know how to make changes to his roster, changes to the rotation, and changes to the playbook once it gets to halftime. Once it got to halftime last year, Mike D'Antoni should have taken the initiative and made sure Curry was being locked up like how he was in the first half. He should have made sure he went scoreless the whole game. Of course, that's harder to do than you think. Of course, it's harder to do. But there should be no reason why Steph Curry drops 33 on us in a game and he doesn't score the entire first half. The entire first and second quarter, not James Harden, sorry, Steph Curry didn't score. And then he dropped 33. That makes no sense. If Steph Curry is not going to score in the first half, make sure he has like 10, 11 points. But this year, we win micro ball. And for a while, it looked really good. We were winning games. Robert Covington was averaging like 2.7 blocks since he came to the Rockets. But once you get to the playoffs, the Rockets had to realize that's not going to win. You are not going to win a championship with no center at all. They didn't have a backup center. They didn't have a center in case PJ Tucker went out. The only center they had on the roster was Tyson Chandler, and he's not getting playing minutes. Now he's not. And with the Rockets, the season's over. They don't have a coach. They don't have a general manager. We have all this money tied in to our star players and players like Eric Gordon, who this year didn't play as good as you'd think he would at all. He was arguably one of the worst players for our roster this year. Austin Rivers played better than him. But with having no money, you'd think they'd have something to fall back on. Because no team wants to take that Russell Westbrook contract. I know if I was a general manager of any team, I wouldn't want to take that. But with the Rockets, they don't only have no money, but they have no pieces. They don't have any young players. I think the youngest player on their roster is Chris Clemens. They don't have any young players, and then they don't have any picks. They traded all their picks for Russell Westbrook. And that would have made sense if they would have won something. But the Rockets are in a place where they can't win anything, they don't have any money, and they're not able to do anything. They're stuck in such a small, tight bubble that now you're wondering, okay, where do the Rockets go from here? They don't go anywhere because they have nowhere else to go. The Rockets are so stuck. The Rockets have nowhere to go. They're like in quicksand, and every single move is making them worse. And it all started from when they gave Chris Paul that max contract. That was about 2 years ago. How do you give a 33-year-old man a max contract, and he was declining. He's declining. I mean, this season was probably the best basketball he's played in a long time. But they offered him that max, and then they were stuck. They got stuck. Then they traded for Russell Westbrook. But with having two ball dominant guards who need the ball in their hand to be so effective, like Russell Westbrook, you put him on a team by himself, he will be insanely effective, like his 2017 season. But the only reason why he's being so effective is because there's nobody else to pass the ball to. Of course, he's going to average 31 points. He is. Who else is he going to pass the ball to? Steven Adams? No. So yeah, Steven Adams. Russell Westbrook is going to get so many more points. And James Harden is such a system breaker. James Harden isn't the type of player who can fit in a system. He is the system. James Harden is a system in himself. But with having two players like that clash, of course you're not going to win. And not only that, but they didn't pair them with anything. They ended up trading away their third best player for Robert Covington. And yeah, Robert Covington was really good this season for us. But we still obviously showed that the lack of us having a center led to them getting more rebounds, and it led to big men dominating. And not only that, we had nobody who was going to guard LeBron in that Rocket series. Who was going to guard Anthony Davis? Nobody. You can put PJ Tucker on him, but like we saw in the finals, players get exhausted. Jimmy Butler playing 45 plus minutes every game got him exhausted. We saw that this time. Of course, PJ Tucker will get exhausted. He's 5'6", guarding a damn near 7-foot guy for an entire series. We won that first game off of luck. And I'm going to rant on Russell Westbrook because he's one of the most annoying, most preposterous players I've ever seen. Russell Westbrook is such a good regular season player. He averaged 27 points in the regular season, and people bring that up so much. That's why he's overhated. But you cannot tell me Russell Westbrook is overhated, and then in the playoffs, he drops 10 points. What? Yeah, he was playing with an injury. I get that. But there comes a certain point where you have to let go of that. Because there came a certain point where the injuries didn't matter. Because he was making unsmart plays. He was making plays that didn't make him look intelligent at all. And I heard in Game 6 of the Thunder series, he was throwing away the plays that they gave him and making up his own stuff. You can't do that and want to win a championship. He's tunnel vision got into his head so much. You cannot expect to win anything if you and your roster cannot mend together. That's one of the biggest things that they had. That's one of the biggest reasons why the Clippers lost. The Clippers had no chemistry. Everybody had an ego. That's not what the Rockets had, though. The Rockets just didn't. They didn't have talent that meshed well. They don't have that. And the thing that's even harder to do is to get that because they have no money and they have no young players and they have no picks. What do they have? The only way that they're gonna get out of this is if they trade Russell Westbrook or James Harden, and we already have found out the Rockets don't want to do that. But guess what? We don't have a GM anymore. We don't have a coach. Hopefully, we hire a coach that knows what they're doing, that can make these roster changes, that can that can get James Harden what he needs. James Harden did not need Russell Westbrook. Yeah, it was good for their friendship and their, their own personal problems. But what this roster needs is a championship. We have been in a championship, we have been in that championship contention for so long that now we're not even looked at one of the top 10 contenders. Why aren't the Rockets a top 10 contender with two top 15 players in the NBA? You can't tell me that the Rockets have met their expectations. Making the playoffs at some point isn't enough. It's not enough. James Harden is a top 5, top 6 player in the NBA. Making the playoffs is not enough. The Rockets need a way that they're able to win And I don't honestly don't see them winning unless they trade Russell Westbrook for a couple of picks. Because honestly, right now, if the Rockets don't win a championship this season, this upcoming season, this 2020-2021 season, they need to trade James Harden because James Harden is stuck. He's stuck in a ship where he can't do anything. Sure, he could have left, but right now, James Harden has no way of winning because the general manager that we had couldn't put pieces around him to win. And Daryl Morey was actually a really good general manager with getting talent, but he didn't get talent that matched James Harden. When you're building a team around James Harden, you're not looking for a team built on pure talent. You're looking for a team built on players that can complement James Harden. James Harden's a very ISO player, and he's known for his lack of defense. Get players around James Harden that are known to be good off-ball players, that are known to be good defenders. A player like Jrue Holiday is a perfect guy to pair with James Harden. I'd rather have Jrue Holiday with James Harden than Russell Westbrook because Jrue Holiday is such a better fit with that player. With that player type, with that player model, what they needed was not just a better player. Yeah, Russell Westbrook is really good, but he's not the type of player who you want to pair with James Harden. James Harden is such a ball dominant player, such a high usage player, that when you get players that are good that you want to use to win with James Harden on the Rockets team, you're not looking for that type of player. No, instead you're looking for a guy who can complement your roster, a guy who can complement James Harden. James Harden is the star of that team. He's been the best player in the NBA in certain seasons consistently. He's been in the top two for MVP for the past 4 seasons, and it's almost astonishing to me that they can't make it to the finals. Not even win the finals. I'm not even asking them to win the finals. I'm asking them to make it to the finals because right now, with the talent that they have and how much time it's been, they should have done something. They're not making noise. This last offseason, when they got Russell Westbrook, everybody thought that was their year to make noise. The Rockets went 65 and 17 in 2017-2018 and lost in the Western Conference Finals. And yeah, you can say that was Chris Paul going out with an injury, but you can also say that that's the Rockets missing 27 straight threes. How do you, as a roster, find it okay to miss 27 straight threes and not change anything up? Once you've already missed 10 threes, maybe 12, 14 threes, that's when you say, we're not shooting threes until we get back into the rhythm. Let's try to attack the paint. Attack the paint. But they don't have players that can do that because the Rockets are so focused on shooting that they don't have players who can complement James Harden on defense, and they don't have players who know how to attack the paint. And that's what they got that last year with Russell Westbrook. But with a player like Russell Westbrook, like I said with James Harden, he's a systematic player. He's not a player who you can fit into a system. He is the system. Russell Westbrook is a system. James Harden is a system. You can't mix two systems together and expect them to be great. No. Of course the Rockets made the playoffs this year. They just had that talent. But to a certain point, talent doesn't matter, and what you need is fit. The Rockets didn't have fit. They had talent. So this season, what I'm expecting is for the Rockets to trade away trade away Russell Westbrook because they do not need Russell Westbrook. Trading for Russell Westbrook was not a good trade. And a couple days ago, I found out that it wasn't even Daryl Morey's fault that they traded for James Harden. Tillman Fertitta wanted Russell Westbrook, and that's why they traded for him. That's besides the point, though. What the Rockets need to do is trade Russell Westbrook. I do not think Russell Westbrook fits on that roster. And this is no hate for Russell Westbrook, because I really like his game. But I don't like the fact that him and James Harden can't blend together smoothly. It's too much clashing, and I don't like that. The Rockets they've been in such a good place roster-wise. I mean, team-wise. They've been able to get to the playoffs. They've been able to be amazing in the regular season. But once you get to the playoffs, how are you going to adjust your lineups in order to win? So I'm not only blaming this on the players, because it's not only the players' fault. I'm blaming this on the owner. I'm blaming this on the coach, and I'm blaming this on the GM. Honestly, this is everybody in the Houston Rockets organization's fault. And all of them need to be given their faults. Because I was so unhappy when I found out that they lost that I couldn't bear watching the last couple minutes of the game because I was just so distraught on how we can get such a top player and still figure out a way to lose in 5. And I wish we could have gotten players to complement James Harden. And even when the trade happened, I was like, maybe this is gonna be good. Couple months of the season, I was like, we are not going to get far. A fan of such a amazing roster should not have to say we are not going to get far because of the pieces that we have around certain pieces. Take it like this: Russell Westbrook and James Harden being together is like eating Skittles and M&Ms at the same time. It is disgusting because they are not meant to be together. They are meant to be two separate pieces because of the factors that they contribute to and the factors that they have. They are too dominant in order to be mashed together. Same thing with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. So, to conclude, I think the Rockets, they're not that, they don't have the pieces that they need to win anytime soon. And like I said, if the Rockets cannot win this upcoming season, end it. End the James Harden era. Please. Because I'm tired of seeing James Harden get so far and play so well during the regular season. And sure, James Harden lowers his level of play in the postseason. I get that. But please, James Harden is wasting his talent in Houston. Sorry I said it to all of the Houston Rockets fans that may be watching this video. He's wasting his talent. He needs to go somewhere where his talent is used properly. But yeah, it's just been bugging me that the Houston Rockets have been so disappointing and they have nowhere to go. The best thing I could say that the Rockets could do now is honestly trade Russell Westbrook, I guess. They could probably trade Russell Westbrook, get a good player, get two solid players, get a couple picks in a young player, keep that, try to see if they can make a good fit with James Harden. If they cannot, and James Harden still cannot win this season that's coming up, trade it all, restart, completely reconstruct the Rockets. Tank for a few years if they have to. I mean, Jalen Green's coming up, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Johnson, all these young players are going to be available soon. And if the Rockets need to wait and tank for those type of talents, they can do so. But right now, the Rockets are not in a good position, and they really need to reconform their thought process and everything that they are doing to win. Because it's win it all this season. It's coming up, or completely reconstruct everything. Well, that's all I have to say for now. Thank you guys for tuning in. As you can see, I'm kind of a little bit heated now, but yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. See you guys later.